Hello and good evening. I screwed up my headphone. I hope you're having an amazing day. This is John Ruman. Today I have started day 17. I'm literally 15 minutes into day 17. I had a couple people asking, by the way, why I'm putting the day that I'm in rather than the days completed, because when you, for example, when there's two ways of counting. I could say 0, 1, 2, 3, but 0 is like this non-existent time. What happens from 0 to 1? So in a lot of cultures worldwide, you actually count what year you're in. So I'm counting what day I'm in. So I'm starting the 7th day. That's what I'm in now. 40 days of fasting. It's going to be amazing. I want to let you know that in my mind, I have a hack for actually being able to make it less of a big deal. But before I did that, I wanted to go into, I got back maybe less than half hour ago, 45 minutes ago from the gym. I worked out. I did a 5x5 workout, which is a kind of workout routine. Look it up, 5x5 strong lifts. It's a great workout routine, very effective for time, but I am able to actually feel quite energetic, lively, not quite normal, but pretty darn good today. And there's a hack that I have learned that I'd like to share with you. So the hack, hey, whoever is there, great to see you. I'm seeing the heart, but I can't see who you are. So if you can say hi in the chat, that'd help me. So my hack is two parts. One, if you watch my previous videos, you're probably going to realize this. I have a lot of experience. A lot of experience. The typical long fast, anything more than like 3-4 days, to be quite honest, and it was for me. So hi Natalie, good to see you. Is honestly terrible. And you need to understand that is part of the road, but it doesn't have to be that bad. As I've been telling you guys in the past couple weeks, you can do more intermittent fasting, do the occasional 1 to 2 to 3 day fast, and your body detoxes over time. I really encourage you to change your diet if you're eating flour, meat, dairy, processed sugar, things like that. These make you have toxin buildup in your body. It stays in there, and then when you fast, the body dumps it. And however old you are, it's been storing this. So I'm 46 years old, and hey, Natalie. Good for you. 3 days is impressive. My encouragement, Natalie, would be to be very, very confident doing 3 days, maybe do it once or twice a month. And if that becomes kind of easy, jump it to 4 or 5. And then once you do more than 5, check out video 1 that I have on my this list of videos you're going to see, and I have it both on YouTube as well as on the Facebook. So wherever you choose to look, Natalie, it's all good. I'll eventually on YouTube put it in a like a playlist. I'm not sure if I can do that still on Facebook. You used to be able to, but I'll try when I'm done. But video 1 kind of goes soup to nuts. It's a little long, but it's almost like 4 or 5 books and all. I mean, at this point, a couple thousand hours of fasting just in the past couple of years, that the experience is there. And the first hint, not the first hint, the first of the 2 keys that has really helped me get to where I am is I've crossed this hurdle where my body's not inundated with these toxins as bad. So I do detox, and when you detox, by the way, it feels like you have like a flu. What most people call the flu isn't often, I'm going to be a little rebellious here. What people often call flu-like symptoms is often a body detox. And you're going to know this when you do more than 3 days, Natalie, just as an FYI. But as the body detoxes, you're going to stink, your breath, all the body odor. When you urinate, defecate, sweat, all that kind of good stuff, it stinks. And that's a good thing. View it as a good thing. But also it dumps in your blood system. That's why you don't feel good. So drink lots and lots of water. And okay, so that's one. So I've crossed a threshold, and this was in my long journey of fasting 2021, probably halfway to 2/3 that there was like this, I noticed a difference, and it was like, whoa, this is easy. And I'm not saying that to impress you. I'm saying to impress upon you. I've read about people who fasting eventually got easy. So there is a threshold where it gets easier. Habit 2, and this is the second hack. Please do this smartly. Don't abuse it, because it's really not effective when you abuse it. I take sparingly coffee or caffeine. It could be tea, but tea is a lower caffeine percentage than coffee is. So what I'll do is I take it very early, by the way, and I have it maybe once, twice, no more than 3 times a week, always having at least 1 day in between. It's optimal when you have a 2-day rest between. So my workout is actually 3 days a week. And caffeine does, it pushes your adrenals. This is why, if you've ever heard of adrenal fatigue, it's a common residual effect of long-term coffee use. And it's not the healthiest thing. But the cool thing is your brain and your body really quickly adjust. 2 days, 3 days is maybe the ideal, but also if you are toxic or have a lot of toxins, when you get off coffee, your head is going to kill you. So just be aware that that is part of the detoxing you're going through. Your brain, I don't know exactly why the headache happens, but it's a very common side effect of pulling off of coffee. So those are my 2 hacks. 1, do fasting, be patient. When you cross that threshold, when you do, I believe in you, because I kind of feel all of humanity is actually slowly being pulled this way to eat cleaner and all this. But please, 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 if you're doing anything longer than 5 days, and I say this in every video, make sure you seek medical assistance and understanding of what's happening. I'll tell you why. 2 main reasons. Well, I'll give you the nice, blunt, less nice, sweet John answer. You can die. And the answer and the reason why is pretty simple. But what happens is in long fasts, well, it's a combination of things, but basically a couple things happen. People don't know how to fast. And when you get into a fast, you should always have your last day, day and a half be veggies only or fruit or combination. I just go all fruit. And then the reason being you don't want any meat. Again, meat, dairy, carbs, even ground provisions. These are kind of gummy and sticky, and you want your digestive tract to be as empty as possible. You don't want things to be stuck in there. You don't want things to be kind of resistant to moving. A lot of people don't eat a lot of healthy fibers, and they don't have a lot of bowel movements. You should have 2 to 3 bowel movements a day. If you don't, it's a dietary issue. And the body wants to do that. It's very healthy to do that. You will feel so much better once you begin to eat and have 2 to 3 bowel movements or more a day. So I'm saying this because that's a biggie. And what you eat before, like going into it, so what's in your digestive tract. So you eat lots of fruit and or like a veggie. It could be a salad. You just can't have croutons. Like literally no carbs in it. Carbs are fine, but I'm saying that would be like beets, maybe carrots, things like that. Not bread, not pasta, no grains, no rice, none of that. So, and if this feels like you're suffering because you're doing this, you need to get better at fasting. So you do 24 hour, 36 hour, 72 hour, 48 hours, like these short little fasts. Take a break, do it once every 2 weeks, build up to it. This is a marathon, not a sprint. So here's the other, so what happens is when you fast, these toxins dump in your lower intestine and colon. So they kind of get there and they get residual, and your body will do its darndest to flush them out. So don't think that they're going to not be there. You'll have these like mini bowel movements. And people who have really not fasted before, done long fasts, your body also will, your intestines are like these folds, look like ridges almost, and there's a lot of food stuck in them. So you'll actually have bowel movements after, because a lot of people 10 to 15 pounds of waste in their intestinal walls that comes out in long fasts. So it's gross, it stinks more than you can imagine, but once it comes out, you're literally going to lose 10, 15 pounds that you'll never gain back, assuming you eat clean when you come off. Going back. So what happens is it dumps into the lower intestine, and then people finish their fast, a week, 2 weeks, whatever, and then they celebrate, and they're like, hey, I'm going to have steak and potatoes. I'm just going to eat this food. It's going to be perfect. I'm going to love it. I can't wait. The problem is these toxins are in this lower intestine, need to be flushed out. And the longer you do a fast, the more they dump in there. So what you do is instead of doing the I'm starving, I'm going to do this, you would literally have, a day of fruit. And I buy one of those big old watermelons, and I have that pretty much, that's what I eat most of day one, maybe a papaya or something like that. That's my food. And I have several bowel movements. And if you don't have a bowel movement after about an hour to hour and a half, take something that's like a laxative, because you need to have a bowel movement. It needs to be flushed out. This is literally the most dangerous time in a fast, just people not knowing how to do this. So I'm always like, please do it right. And then the reason you need to seek medical attention, not medical attention, but medical advice and potentially supervision, is a lot of people are in pharmaceuticals. And pharmaceuticals are not, while they may help the beneficial, whatever the symptom or whatever, they may help that, they often have a toxic, acidic effect in the body, and they actually get stored. So what happens is the body actually stores these and releases them when you detox. So it's almost like this pill that you've been taking for 5 years all of a sudden gets dumped in your colon, and if you eat the wrong thing, it gets reabsorbed, and then that's not what you want, because that is bad. So this is why very often it's recommended, especially if you're a newer faster or if you're someone who has taken medication, all this kind of good stuff, talk to a doctor, because they'll often have you maybe pull back a little bit of the medication you're taking. A lot of people will get off medications they're taking. I know a lot of people that have gotten rid of statins, all these various blood pressure. The amount of things that people don't take after long fasts and don't ever need to take again are tremendous. The body also does a lot of resetting, especially during long fasts. So if the body, let's say, has trouble absorbing magnesium, like this is magnesium, the body will become better at it post-fast. So there's a lot of benefits, and that's one of the benefits to the water, very minimal intake of anything calorically. But if you do have history of taking any kind of pharmaceuticals, or if you have done just not eating very healthy and you're not feeling well, the really great thing to do is there's something called activated charcoal. And activated charcoal is a powder, usually in pill form. You take it, and it absorbs everything that you've eaten, good or bad. So if you were eating normally, and you're they actually eat a lot of vitamins and minerals. It absorbs a lot of stuff. And the reason it's so good while fasting is these toxins get absorbed. This is something that people often take when they food poisoning, things like that. They like feed people this activated charcoal, and then you back it almost like you're drinking. It's like you have a shot of alcohol, and they call it a chaser. So you chase your activated charcoal, which is very drying. It's very absorbent, but it actually has like a constipating effect in your colon or intestines. Then you just have what's called psyllium husk, which is this dry, it looks like a dry, powdery, flaky thing, and you stir it up, a tablespoon in like a 16-ounce glass of water. You stir it, and you drink it real quickly, because it turns to like a jelly kind of thing real quick, and that goes behind the charcoal, or with it, and it acts like a brush and slowly pushes this. It creates like a mini bowel movement, but the blessing is it also pushes out it does a couple things. It pushes out the charcoal. It so it doesn't like create a constipating effect, and then it also continues to sweep. So I mean, the charcoal will eventually get through you, but just continues the sweeping motion out of your body. And another added benefit of the psyllium husk is it's virtually no calories, so it's not going to really mess up your fast. It's like 20 calories. So if you have that, your body's going to notice 20 calories, which is nothing. Your body's not going to notice it, is the point. But the reason that's so beneficial is it also has a filling effect. So a lot of people who are kind of new into this, I tell people, like, I have no problem whatsoever people doing psyllium husk every day. It actually feels like a little meal. So you're welcome to do it. I mean, I'm a little less strict. Some people are like unbelievably strict when it comes to water fasting. But as I told you earlier, I do coffee. I don't really drink tea, but tea would be an example. I'll take a concentrated mushroom tea that I make, which has a lot of minerals, and it has a kind of stimulating, minerals are very stimulating. And then I always mention this, you can't really see it here, but this is concentrated pink salt brine. And then I try to mention this every video because this is just paramount to like being normal. I take potassium and I take magnesium, and potassium, magnesium, and the sodium, the pink salt, make it so that your body actually gets, I'll answer that. Great question, Natalie. So these things you take, they allow your body to, your brain to work more functionally. It also, more importantly, it's the muscles. Your muscles need these electrolytes to create electrical stimulus so you don't get cramps. So those are like game changers. So yeah, so I buy the Now brand potassium citrate. I buy it on a company called iHerbs, iHerbs.com. I don't have an affiliate link. Maybe I should get one. Anyway, and then I also buy what's called Doctor's Best, this magnesium, whatever. You'll be able to find it when you look it up. And then pink salt, get at your local store. So Natalie has a wonderful question. Can you take sea moss? Yeah. So, so the cool thing about sea moss, Natalie, is sea moss is very similar to what do you call it? To the psyllium husk, in that it's virtually no calories. So if you look up the caloric content of sea moss, obviously sea moss, no sugar added. In Trinidad, they add sugar to things. So if you take straight sea moss, absolutely no problem, Natalie. You're just not allowed to add caloric things to it. So sea moss is primarily these super long chain carbs, and same that makes like cassava kind of slimy and sticky and all that kind of stuff. But there's none of the medium or longer style carbs which the body would actually calorically create from it. So it doesn't mess up your fast. And the great thing about sea moss, I'm so glad you brought it up. I should actually add it to my list. Thank you. You are an inspiration. Is sea moss is mineral rich. And the blessing with mineral rich foods is, along with these electrolytes, I don't have it here, but I will take, the reason I take the mushroom is primarily because of the minerals. And I'll also take something called trace mineral drops, which I import. They're far too expensive locally, I find. I pay about half if I import them. Trace mineral drops, and then I take one other thing for minerals, but what the heck is it? Well, it'll come to me. But sea moss is a great one. Sea moss is like taking psyllium husk, and here's another cool thing. If you have a healthy gut microbiome, and this is really the goal of, or this is John's personal opinion, take it or leave it. In all I've researched, understood, intuitively felt into, whatever, and I have several doctors who I've spoken to who totally back up this, so this is not just John's idea. And there's a lot of very forward-thinking nutrition people who think this way too, is what they call the gut bugs or gut microbiome. So these tiny microbial beings, and they eat primarily, well, they eat whatever we feed them. So people who develop a lot of candida eat a lot of flour and sugar and rice and grains. And these candida develop and they grow in the blood, and they wreak havoc because their waste is actually alcohol and a whole bunch of stuff. Very unhealthy. But most people have them to an extent. And one of the blessings with fasting is because you're not really eating things that are food for them, they die off. The awesome thing about sea moss is these super long chain carbohydrates. They're really impossible for our normal body to digest. But what happens is our body uses these long chain carbs to, not us, the gut microbiome, that is their food. So they eat them, and what they do in exchange, they give us vitamins, minerals, they give us amino chain fatty acids. So what people have found, who have kind of like live and breathe and really dig into this stuff, there's a common pushback of people who like eat raw vegan, as an example. And people who eat raw vegan, they may or may not eat fruit. A lot of them eat fruit because that's where you get a lot of caloric content. But they eat so much of this fiber-rich food. People are like, where in the world are you getting your protein? And like, so I'm not huge, right? Whatever. But this muscle has not dropped. I've actually gotten stronger even since fasting. But I say this because The famous line, this is one of my favorite lines: you feed your gut bugs, they will feed you. So to answer the question about how people get stronger while eating like something like a raw vegan diet where you're not eating all the sugar and processed food and meats and all that stuff, is these gut bugs produce the amino acids that basically are what muscle is made from. So what happens when a body normally eats a protein, whether it's fish, it doesn't really matter what the protein is, it takes the protein, it breaks it into amino acids, and then it creates protein. So what this does is these guys, they eat the sea moss, thank you Natalie again, and they convert the sea moss to branch these amino acids, and that creates muscle. It's beautiful. So you feed them, they feed you. This is how people who can be raw vegan and actually gain muscle consistently. I ate raw, or mostly raw, but the point is vegan, but clean vegan, like no, most people who are vegan eat garbage, I'll be honest with you. So they're one of the most unhealthy people on the planet because they eat, Oreos are vegan. I mean, Chips Ahoy, vegan. I mean, it's just, fries, vegan. I mean, they'll eat food that is just the most unhealthy food in the world and say, oh, it's healthy. But going back, sea moss, these fibers, and ideally these fibers that are kind of slimy, like okra fibers, are really healthy for you, like hardcore healthy. I'm really a huge fan. I think okra is like almost like a superfood in that way because it gives us such a high amount of this, what's called a soluble fiber. So thank you for that. Any other questions? I would love them. So I'll give you guys maybe 1 minute to ask me questions. And with that, let me do a quick summary. So I'm starting day 17, feeling darn good today because I had coffee. And then as I said, and you can, obviously, if you came on late, I've been doing a lot of fasting for the past 2 to 2.5 years or so. And I kind of came over a threshold, but now fasting's easier. So that's really in summary of the talk today. Thank you, Natalie. It's been great. And check out that first video. You're going to love it. I gave you a lot of meaty stuff just now, but the reason I tend to do this in most of my videos is just because I don't know if the person's going to see something else, and I don't want people to be inspired and then do something and regret it. So, and just understand it is a long process. It's a slow process. Let your intuition guide you. Let God guide you. Let the divine guidance that sits within you, within your body, be what pulls you or doesn't pull you. All of my fasting journey was divinely guided. John was not saying, I'm going to fast, but and that helped because there's times when it's just not fun. And I spent I spent 7 or 8 hours Saturday and Sunday this past weekend sleeping. And I may end up spending half the weekend this weekend sleeping, and I'm okay with that. So Natalie says, I'm a coffee drinker. All right, let me read this. I'm a coffee drinker, 1 to 2 per day. So it's a bit hard when I fast. You said it may cause headaches, and I experienced it. It was terrible. Yes. Yeah. So the ultimate, Natalie, again, is if you take 1 day, preferably 2 days off, the day you have it, you're like a superhero. And if you're going to do fasting, probably fast from it days 1 and 2, and then on the 3rd day, if you're going to do like this 3-day thing. And here's a great way of doing it, by the way, because it can really mess up your work week and your work life, is start on like Wednesday night, and then you have Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night. So that's your 3 days, and you could have Saturday night dinner, all day Sunday to eat. And if you feel inspired, you can go all the way to Sunday morning, so now you have 3.5 days, But just as a heads up, our body runs out of what are called sugar stores, but they also call them glycogen stores, and they're in our liver and in our blood. And what happens is when they run out, the body does this switch from this sugar burning to fat burning. And as you do that switch, your body, probably the first 4 or 5 times, it's not very good at it. And you'll just feel like, oh my God, I'm dying. First time I did it, this is no joke. I was helping my wife and my mother-in-law. We're planting a a few plants in the backyard of my mother-in-law's house. And I literally, for like digging, and it was one of those things I had to use like a pickaxe, kind of like the ground was hard, and like 4 or 5 swings. And I took like a 5-minute break. And I was in such rough shape. I was like, wow, this is amazing. Heart was pounding. And it's because my body was in the process of switching over to fat burning. And then and that was like 4 in the afternoon. So the next morning when I woke up and I, continued on that fast, I was at the point where I was now in fat burning, and I was fine. But for a few hours, it was rough. Yeah, Natalie says, yeah, that happened. Yeah, it's an interesting experience, Natalie. It really is. But once you do it 4 or 5 times, and it's, in my experience, 2.5 to 3.5 days. So let's say 60 hours to 84 hours in your fast. And you should probably get a fast tracker too. They're great because you can say, I only have 3 hours left. Like it's very rewarding. I use the normal one I use is called Zero, but I needed a really long one. It's probably not going to be visible. Yeah, so that's how many hours I am in, 384. But this one only has 30 days, and if I'm going to do 40 days, it's not going to be able to track it. But it's okay. I'll do it up to 30 days, record it, and then do a new 10-day fast. But one thing as well that I'm doing outside of that is psychologically, and I may actually do this. I'm not doing this as a trying to impress or whatever. And if you guys haven't tracked or paid attention why I'm actually fasting, the main reason I'm fasting is I actually have a food demon that popped itself out at the first time I did a 40-day fast, 2021. I had a goal of 100 days. Towards the end of the year, I ran out of time, and my brother Jesus came to me, and he's like, John, I'm going to challenge you to do my fast. And I did 32 days, and then a demon in my field woke me up 2 or 3 days, and then I started breaking the fast with like grapes. Only about 100 calories, 50 to 100 calories when I calculated it, but in my mind, it was over. I had lost the battle. And since then, I've learned how to rebuke and cast these things out. So my plan is when it comes back, I shall rebuke and practice. I think I'm around 4 or 5 demons of different sorts in my life I've had to deal with and kind of learning this spiritual battle, if it were. So this is something that this is the main reason, but the reason I'm doing the lives is I've had people say, John, tell us about what it's like and all that kind of good stuff. So this is more in response to kind of helping those people who are interested in it. They want someone who has experience with it. And the nice thing too is I am over that threshold of it being god-awful, but also this weekend I didn't post Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I think I posted on Sunday was the first time. I skipped 2 solid days, and that was just because it was like 9 o'clock. I'm like, I'm going to bed. I felt exhausted. Your body knows you can relax tomorrow. So it knew Saturday and Sunday I could totally chill out, and I did. I slept. I woke up at 8 o'clock and took a nap from noon to 3. It was that kind of thing. All right, so did you feel very weak when you started? So could you be a little more clear? Do you mean when I started this particular fast, or do you mean when I first started fasting? So I'm going to take it so I'll answer both. This particular fast, I did a week-long fast over Christmas to like New Year's. I didn't eat any big meals over Christmas and New Year's. I know people can think I'm insane, but I'm like, it's a holy day. Holiday actually means holy day. So when I first started, okay, thank you. So this is my second fast. I did 1 week sometime this year, and then just for kicks. And then I said, I'm going to do it 40 days. Actually, I'm partially also supporting my wife. Anyway, so then when you first started, thank you so much, Natalie. So when I first started, yes, feeling weak was the norm, not the exception. And once the sugar stores, so even when the sugar stores ran out, I usually experience, so let me tell you, so even now, I actually feel better. I'll take you through the first week because it'll kind of help you a lot. First day, maybe 24 hours in, my body is expecting a meal. And it feels, it like begs me for food. And by the way, if you have something where like you feel like you don't have control, that's not you, just to be blunt. But a lot of people eat out of not their desire to eat, but actually these entities. So about 20 hours in, my body said eat, and I started to feel a little bit lightheaded. So, and then the next day, so that was, and I usually eat maybe 3 or 4 o'clock some days to like 6 or 7. Like that's my window, maybe a 4-hour block of time. Sometimes I'll eat like 11 to 6, like a 7-hour block of time. So that's kind of either a 4 to 7-hour block of time is how much I usually eat regardless. There's rarely a day that I eat at 9 a.m., 11 a.m. and 5 p.m. That is just uncommon. For me, I usually have 2 meals about 4 to 6 hours apart. That's kind of my typical day. And that's called intermittent fasting. So about a day in, my body's like, John, you eating? I'm feeling hungry here. It was pinging me. And that evening, maybe let's say my second meal would have been around 5 or whatever. I was starting to feel a smidgen lightheaded. Next morning, so now we're in around 36 hours in because you have sleep. I am feeling, I actually worked out that day. And I had a good, like solid workout. There was still blood sugar, but when I was done working out, I remember feeling I'm a little tired. And then on the switch day, so then we have that night, and then the switch day, which is roughly the 3.5 or so for me, that beginning that third day, that morning, I did feel tired. And then once the switch happened, so let's say noon, for me it's about an hour. 15 minutes to an hour is how long it takes my body to go from sugar to fat. And I'm not sure how accurate that is. It doesn't feel like it's long, whereas before it used to be like half a day. And then days 4 and 5, the body is still doing a lot of stuff. There's a lot of, if you were to kind of read, I did a post, if you check back, it talks about what happens in the first so many hours of fasting. So maybe just look at my feed and you're going to see this snapshot that someone took of like this first time in fasting. And then, but in that time, I would say day 4 and 5, I feel a little bit less, I feel 85% of normal John. I'm in fat burning mode. Mental clarity is amazing. And then days 5 to 7 are kind of blah. By the way, every 2 days roughly I am working out. And then, by the way, I love that you correct your spelling mistakes. I'm the same way. God bless you. So let me remove that. A good one I'm going to keep. God in all we do. I'm just going to keep that up there. So the magic is 3 to 5 days. 5 days, I believe, is the optimum. Your body is like on full what's called autophagy, which is your body eats these cells, what they often call zombie cells, senescent cells. These are cells in our body that are old, divided improperly. They're just not perfect. They could be cancerous. The point is like the body is, we have a divine, this is a divine temple that we call our body, and it knows what to do. It is miraculous. So most healing, because I have you with you, Natalie, I'll take a moment to kind of go through some of the healings, but from day 7 is when, and if you check out my videos, you can literally go on there 30 seconds, say, look at John, okay, look at John, and just look at my face on each video. Around day 7 is when the visible anti-aging really starts. And then 9, and this is what my wife always says, she goes, 9's the magic number. At 9 is when it's like, I look younger. So I'm 46. So I go from 46 to, let's say, 30, 35. I don't know how old I look. It doesn't really matter to me. The point is, there's an anti-aging benefit, and the Ishtara Center in Shogunas can measure your biological age, and I'm usually late teens, early 20s, so biologically. So however young I look or don't look, at the end of the day, it keeps your biological age really, really young. And then but just a quick synopsis, and let me know if you have any more questions, Natalie, by the way. I appreciate all your questions. Glad to have you here. We're having a dialogue, even though I'm not seeing it, but I'm looking at you right now. History healing. So history healing has been both knees. I did martial arts for a couple decades. My knees got mash up. And to the degree I was actually subconsciously pulling back from training as hard when I first, when I had gotten to, like, I actually realized in hindsight I had hurt them and was not doing what I used to do because they were actually unfortunately injured. But both knees have fully healed. What else? I had sciatica, which is a nerve-related thing, gone. I had a pinched nerve, separate from sciatica, pinched nerve in my lower back that I got from a snow sledding accident when I was 14. Not a major accident, it was just a big bump, and then from there it was pinched, but then it's gone. And my flexibility in my back since then has been like, I've never been more flexible. It's amazing. What else? I had a myriad of scars, just from, like, I had one on my knee. I learned how to ride my bike as a kid, and I fell like every day for a month, and I had a scar, like, it's huge. It's like almost like half as big as my palm, this giant scar, and then that is virtually non-existent. A lot of what we call skin tags and things like that, your body slowly eats these up because your body's like, I don't need this. Mental clarity goes up. Those are my main injuries, was the knee and the back that I can remember. But it's always like little things that I don't realize are a little bit messed up and get healed during the fast. But like, for example, this fast, the only one thing that I really can think of that was an injury that I've had in the past few months is it's a pain in the heels, and it's called plantar fasciitis, whatever. Plantar fascia, that it's a ligament that gets inflamed, and it does not hurt, whereas it was hurting, and it's like, hallelujah, what a blessing. So, but most of that healing doesn't happen for me until I'm like 4 to 7 days in. And then one of my personal goals, besides rebuking and casting out this demon who has been living in my body field, is also I wear contacts, I wear prescription lenses, and a lot of people who have done really long fasts, it's usually longer than 40 days, but at some point, because the body, when it's done healing certain things, it looks for other things to heal. So one of the things, my personal goals is actually, in addition, is my eyes no longer needing any kind of corrective anything. So that's another goal, but basically they say, like, they put on their glass or contacts one morning and all of a sudden everything's blurry, and it takes like a day and a half, and then they have 20/20 vision. So that's the hope, that's the plan, and whenever that happens, whenever it happens, I'll be very excited. But just the back was huge, and the knees huge. So I can run, like, I can do things that I was unable to do. So it's been beautiful. So with that, many blessings, Sister Natalie. I appreciate you immensely. I appreciate your questions today. I appreciate you taking the time to spend time with me today. And for those who watch in the replay, thank you as well. Always ask me questions in the chat. I do my best to answer every question. And what I do often is I'll ask that question in a future live, just because if one person has a question, I'm sure other people have that question. Like, a person had a question. Well, if they ask it live, I'll answer in the live. But post the live, people ask in the chat, and I'm happy to answer questions. So with that, much love, much blessings. Glory to God, Sister Natalie. I appreciate you immensely, and have an incredible day. I'll see you guys soon. Adios.